before I go back to Pearnel, our special guest co-host today, the Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools. Yes? We gave you some more of the findings yesterday and this morning. And yesterday morning, when we revealed that a plurality of Jamaicans, 44% of Jamaicans, when asked whether the country was heading in the right or wrong direction, said it was going in the wrong direction. 44%. 28% or 27% said it was going in the right direction. The rest wasn't too sure what direction the country was heading. And then when that came out, we are so politically tribalized, Pearnel. The comrades were joyful. They were gleeful. Yes? They were all over social media yesterday. Yeah? Saying, see there? Polls said the country going in the wrong direction. By yesterday afternoon, when we revealed the other finding, we asked Jamaicans if the Holness administration should get a third term or not. And a small majority said yes, they should get a third term. Only 52%. Yes? As against 48. Then it flipped. Then start to crossway again. While the Labourites, who were sad yesterday morning when they heard that result, suddenly say, oh yes, see there? Yeah, third term loading. And I say that because this is the hazardous nature of my job now, where depending on my position one morning, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. The following morning, I'm the worst thing that God ever set on this earth. And you would have, yes, you would have seen a lot of that. Yeah, you as a political actor yourself, the tribalized nature of the politics, and it's getting worse, isn't it?
Cliff, let me say this to you. I'm a political science student, as I said. I spent years at one of the better colleges, and I learned from some of the top professors of the world. And I joined the BITU, which is a bigger professor than anybody else. And the JLP then, still. My problem, when I returned to Jamaica, but little before I returned, I decided where I was going, whether behind Michael Manley or behind Edward Siaga. And I studied both. I love the presentation of Michael Manley. He was saying what I wanted to say. But I love the work of Edward Siaga. I was doing what I wanted to do. You understand me?
Yes.
And I said, I will join the work squad rather than the talk squad. Now, my mother taught me a lesson before I met you or any of you all. If your foot slip, you can regain your balance. But if your tongue slip, you cannot call back the word. That is a poem.
Lesson. Yes.
Therefore, I am guided by that, particularly around your mic, which I feel very proud that I am here with you this morning. And I know you when you were a young journalist.
That's a long time ago.
At a long time ago, you were at RJR around the desk.
Yes.
And I was a trade unionist then.
Yes.
And I was a parish councillor, KCC. I spent 2 terms in the KCC, 2 terms in the Senate, 3 terms in St. Thomas, and 4 terms in Clarendon as MPs. Follow me? And remember, my first attempt to become an MP was where Matthew Samuda is now,
In Northeast St. Anne.
in St. Anne, after Wills Isaac.
Yes.
And Wills called me and said, young man, don't make them put you down there because I set it up for my secretary. And I told Sierra, I said, go and learn, because you have to go forward. So I went and I lost.
Yes. But let me just say this. I recall when I was a young reporter in the RJR newsroom, this would have been around 1988, 87, 89. We would depend on you, especially on a Sunday evening when the news was light. And we could always count on Pearnel Charles exploiting the light news day. Because that's what you did looking back at it.
Well,
you were skillful.
But that was what was expected of me.
No. He would deliberately hold the stories until Sunday afternoons
Yes.
or Sunday evenings. Then he would call and say, I have a story for you. And we would, we need things
6 o'clock coming and we
terrible,
don't
man.
have...
We don't have nothing. And I've never forgotten that, because politicians like you were adept, smart, street smart, yeah? But we could also trust you. You wouldn't mislead us.
No,
You wouldn't.
because my mother, wherever she is, hearing no, would not expect me
Yeah.
to mislead you.
Yes.
I can make a mistake,
Yes. But you wouldn't.
but I wouldn't deliberately mislead you, knowing that RJR was going to call you out that you're doing something wrong. I would.
Right.
I remember I went back to RJR. I spent two
Yes.
years there.
You like the media.
I love media, yes. I love media.
And that's why you're here this morning.
And that's why I'm here, and I hope that I'll be here for more.
Anyway, here's Ricardo Brooks's report on the latest Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools, where a small majority of Jamaicans, nearly 52%, say the Holness administration deserves a third term in office. Remember now, the poll was conducted between September 6 and 19. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%.
The Holness administration and its admirers have been adamant that a third term in government is imminent. In fact, they say it's loading. If Jamaicans had a say today, it appears the JLP's hopes would be affirmed at the ballot box. When the Blue Dot posters asked 1,246 Jamaicans whether they think the Holness administration deserves a third term in office, the answer was yes. Nearly 52% of respondents said yes. 48% said no. That's a 4 percentage point majority, which is just outside the 3% margin of error. Also of note is the fact that those who believe the government deserves a third term have increased by 5 percentage points since February this year. So what's driving this shift towards an unprecedented third term for the JLP? Well, women are playing an active role. Female voters continue to power the Labour Party's fortunes in these polls, with 54% of them saying Prime Minister Andrew Holness should lead Jamaica beyond 2025. On the flip side, 46% of women voters want Holness and his government gone. This is compared to the evenly divided sentiment among men, with 50% saying no to a third term and an equal number of 50% saying yes. If there's any reason for the JLP to pause and take stock of these numbers, it's that 52% of unaffiliated Jamaicans do not believe the party should be returned to power. That's compared to the 48% of unaffiliated voters who say yes. That's a 4 percentage point gap. Labourites continue to break heavily in favor of a third term, with 89% saying their party deserves to remain at the helm. 83% of comrades say no.
The nationwide Blue Dot polls, powered by Total Tools. Total Tools, they almost always have it.
Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
So, Pearnel, put on your political scientist hat now and the veteran politician. Yeah? How is it that when asked, in what direction do you think the country is going? 44% saying it's going in the wrong direction. 28% says right direction. The remainder says not sure. And people are asking, how did we get that? Yeah, in response to that question. But when asked whether the current government deserves a third term, you get 52% saying yes, they deserve a third term. How do you reconcile that?
Well, firstly, you did ask the first question. Did you vote in the last election, or do you plan to vote in the next election?
Yes, we did ask those questions.
You
Yeah.
did. So the person who asked those, give you those answers, were people who voted and will be voting.
Yeah, they plan to vote.
Well, then I have to switch my mind to a different vein. You want to take it from there and let me?
My rationale for it
Yes.
is people, when asked, is the country going in the wrong or right direction, express their lived experiences. There are so many pain points in Jamaica today.
How many what?
Pain points, misery index, I call
Yes,
it.
yes.
Challenges,
Yes.
yeah, getting things done.
Yes.
Not to mention the crime, yeah, that people have to contend with. The crime, the violence, yeah. And when they are asked, do you think the country is going in the right or wrong direction, they immediately go to that for their frame of reference, yeah. And that's why you get your 44% saying, no,
Well,
I'm not happy.
Well, let me say something.
But just let me finish. But when asked, do you think the present government deserves a third term? They immediately say, but wait, I'm not too happy with where the country going, you know. But I have to look at the alternative before they can now say, well, is the alternative giving me enough for me to say, yes, I want that alternative. Therefore, no third term for you because I have a viable alternative over here. And I think that's where the PNP has a problem. Yeah?
Well, let me tell you where they have a problem. It is easier to talk than to act. I can sit here and talk a development, talk what I would do, talk what I'm going to do, and I'll be better off than you who have the job at this time to do what is there. But look at this. I had to stop in the middle of a traffic jam and look at a lady making up her face around her car. I said, Miss, you know, it's Andrew Onis caused this? She said, what? I said, he gave you 4 lanes on Constant Spring in June, and by September, it's full. Look around you, miss. There were at least 50 cars, and at least 34 of those cars were being driven by women. Women driving car in Jamaica today has double men, and women are meeting less accident. So if the woman who is driving a car said things better, but guess what? By buying that car, because there was an advertisement saying you can come and borrow money from me. It's a serious thing that if you have a job, you can borrow money, I will lend you, can buy a car. Tiff, let me switch and ask you a question. Where are we going to put the 5,000 or 6,000 car that I see down at Marcus Garvey Drive? If you leave New Kingston at 4 o'clock to go where I live in Red Hills, it takes you 2 hours. If you leave there at 7:30, it takes you 30 minutes. So I am trying to tell you, there is good and bad. And those who are having it good, there's a rough part in it. So if you catch them at a off and say, but miss, you're driving a nice car, say yes. Miss, you got a big salary.
It's interesting that you say women, because when the pollsters dug down into the data, women are the ones who are more positive about giving wholeness a third term by 54%. 54. Unlike men who are breaking for a third term for the government 50-50. 50 saying yes, 50 saying no. Women, 54% saying yes.
Well,
But then the other thing I want to hear you on, yes? The people over 60, 65, that demographic group,
Yes.
56% saying the government should get a third term.
yes.
That is a turnaround from what we're used to. But
No,
that
no,
was when the PNP was strong
No, no,
in
that-
the over 55, 60 demographic group.
Well, where you get that from?
Yes?
You forget that they had 18 years of problem.
Mm-hmm.
You forget that women went to the supermarket to buy certain things and were not able to get it unless they buy certain things.
You're talking about marrying.
Be careful. There's a word called promises.
Yes.
8 years ago, the PNP was removed from office. And the people who were suffering mostly were women. I am telling you, I'm out there. And I am not saying that all women are not suffering now, but women are doing much better. They have a better job. If you to get a helper now in your house, and you have to pay her $15,000 a week, plus everything else, it's a little better for her. Her problem is when she go to the shop with that 15,000, what she used to get for 7,000 is now 12,000. So if you can promise her that you can move the 15 up to 20, so she can get another 5, she will say, boy, I may try, But when she go home and say, listen, I never used to be able to do it. I wonder if I should take the gamble, because guess what? I can buy now. I can't buy what I used to buy. I can take the bus. I drive my own little car, right? And I send them and pick them at school. So, things may sound bad too if you don't think about it. Right? And I am not trying to suggest that it is a matter of say hanky-pory. Everybody nice, everybody have happy.
What do you call that? Hanky-pory?
I'm not saying that everything is hanky-pory. Right? It is rough, still rough, but it is better than it used to be. Anybody who come and tell you that it is you, I ask you now. If you leave here 4:30 to go up to Constant Spring, how long is it going to take you?
4:30 takes me about 45 minutes.
45 minutes. It used to take you 5 minutes. And 10 minutes. Why it is taking another time?
Traffic.
Traffic. What is traffic?
Vehicles.
Vehicles. What is vehicle? Cars and bikes, and who are driving them? In my private poll show that nearly 60% of those cars have been driven by women. Who used to be terrified in a bus? Used to terrified about his paste up in the bus that I used to tear off. That is terrified who used to blow a cigarette in them face. That is terrified who used to push them, and they're driving their own little car home. You think they want to get rid of that? You think and they talk, and I will tell you, I warn you, Mr. Cliff, I warn in you. Don't say I didn't tell you. Don't. I'll switch and tell you, the British government that has just won the election, how many months ago?
July.
They have lost 20 points. They are down. They are down 20 points.
Yeah.
And
the new prime minister is more unpopular now than the former prime minister.
he's
Rishi
more
Sunak.
unpopular than.
Rishi Sunak.
That's right.
Yeah, the former prime minister. Yeah.
And it's just a beginning.
Yeah.
But it's the same sort of politics that we have.
Well, let me ask you.
But you had asked me a question. I don't think I answered it. You recall that?
I don't recall. All right, but let me go to another hot
Yeah.
button issue that I would love to hear.
No, sorry. You wanted to know why women
Uh-huh.
are more supportive
Of the JLP.
to the JLP.
Yes.
And I think that women, particularly in the public sector, get a little more. Transport to it, they have a little more. And the program of husbands and men taking care of women. Now look at better. You don't understand that there are programs which saying you must go home. You must come out of the bar, carry home something.
Really?
You don't know that. You think say that a man just a run home, sir. And guess what?
What are you saying?
You don't know that the government is carrying out, Babs is carrying out a program that more men must take care of their home more than they used to.
Oh,
Must carry home more money.
Babsy saying that?
Oh, what you mean?
Oh.
I must make sure more of your children go to school.
Oh, you mean the message of being better fathers,
Yes,
better parents?
Yes,
Okay. I see.
yes, yes.
Interesting. I hear you.
I, in my opinion, as a trade unionist, more women are working more than they used to. As a politician, more women are getting some more than they used to. You follow me? So if your salaries increase and men are understanding that they must take care of their home better and take care of their children better, women will become more comfortable. But my problem to you, Mr. Prime Minister, and you ministers, is that the passage is dark because the price is too high.
Cost of living.
Yes,
Well, that came up in our polls as well.
Yeah, but who?
Crime, corruption, and cost of living, the top three items.
But who is doubling the prices? Is it importation? But when the bank account come out for these big business, you read them, billions. So I said to my son, Mr. Charles.
Which one of your sons? Pearnel, the minister?
The minister.
Yes.
I said, Mr. Minister, when are you going to speak to the owners of business and tell them to go easy on the bottom line? You know, because you can't have $20 billion profit and you double Miss Bertha money that she get a big raise from the Prime Minister or the Minister of the government, and yet she can't buy what she used to buy. Why? Because the price double up on her.
What him say to you when you ask? What him tell you when you ask him?
What
What him tell you? What was his response?
well, you expect me to tell you?
Yes. You raise it. Tell me.
I tell him, turn up and things. So, Daddy, things are rough. We're trying our best. And we want to improve the position that women can get more, particularly retired women. Now, he's very, very conscious about retired women and women who are without husbands and have children. Follow me? You realize that if you used to get a pension of $8,000 and you used to spend $5,000 by food, and the 5,000 can buy half of what you used to buy.
You're dying.
So that is why he is on his thing to increase that.
Yes.
Right? But I mean, I'm not here to promote my
All
son.
right.
I mean,
There's another issue now that
Yes.
I want to turn to,
Yes.
and I want to hear you on. This is the issue of corruption,
Yes.
which is now the second
Yes.
most important issue identified by Jamaicans in the polls. And what do we have? A plurality of Jamaicans. 44% say they do not believe the matter of the illicit six is being handled effectively by the Integrity Commission. That's according to the Blue Dot polls. And the poll, as I said, has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. And I want you to listen to George Davis's report, yes, when we question Jamaicans and how they perceive of the work being done by the Integrity Commission. Let's listen.
The matter of the so-called illicit 6 adjusted to the illicit 8 has been a talking point in the country for nearly 2 years running. The matter concerns parliamentarians who are under investigation for illicit enrichment. Members of the opposition PNP and sections of civil society have clamored for those involved to name themselves. The Integrity Commission has maintained that the so-called gag clause in its enabling legislation limits the extent to which it can make public comments about ongoing investigations. It doesn't appear that answer has satisfied Jamaicans. The Blue Dot pollsters asked the sample of 1,246 eligible voters how they feel about the Integrity Commission's handling of the illicit 6. Nearly 44% of respondents said they believed the matter of the illicit 6 was not being handled effectively by the Integrity Commission. 42.6% said they had concerns about the approach of the Integrity Commission, but this cohort of respondents say more time is needed to judge the Commission's effectiveness. Only 10.9% of respondents said they believed the matter of the illicit 6 was being handled effectively by the Commission. Nearly 3% had a different view of the matter. It should be noted the data collection for the nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools ended 2 days after the Integrity Commission's Director of Investigation, Kevin Stevenson's report into Prime Minister Andrew Holness's financial affairs was tabled in the House of Representatives. George Davis for Nationwide News.
So, 44% said they believe the matter was not being handled effectively. 42.6% said they had concerns about the approach of the Integrity Commission. The matter of corruption, and in particular the so-called illicit 6, and the Prime Minister's problems, where his statutory declarations are concerned, still to be certified. This is after 3 years. A forensics accounting examiner called in. They can't find anything conclusive. They've referred it to the FID. And this is causing serious angst in the Jamaican population. People are
Not only in Jamaica.
divided.
Not only in Jamaica, among diaspora and other countries. And I believe the management of it has been handled very badly. Very badly. Because the PNP finds it to be supportive to them in their program to want to become government. So they have labeled it on all of the platforms, local and foreign, that you don't have a prime minister, you don't country no good, and it this and that. You understand? But you remember that I told you? My mother said, if your mouth slip, you can't call back the word. But if your foot slip, you can balance up. And I warn you that there's a problem. It is presentation that is causing a problem. But I can't answer it. I can give you an answer how you should make a presentation when 5 people are killed in one place. And the Prime Minister go down and they says, why Maluk? I vote in Maluk. I mean, it is painful. Prime Minister come out on a school day with children. No Prime Minister ever do those things. No Prime Minister ever do that. And I have no doubt that he's also looking at the politics of it. It's stupid if you're not. You understand? So if I go out there and the children see me, they'll go home and say, I saw Prime Minister. If I give out a house, other people will say, boy, I'm supporting because I want a house. But there's nothing that you can do that you're going to get it clear.
But what I want to ask you, you have seen a lot in Jamaican politics, right? An institution such as the Integrity Commission has an absolutely crucial role to play because we have a corruption problem in Jamaica. If not reality, the perception is we have serious corruption issues.
I have a question to ask you. I want you to teach me today, what is your definition of corruption and where is it taking place?
Well, the corruption is when you illegally,
When what?
unethically derive a benefit from your access to office or information that gives you an unfair advantage.
Yes.
essentially.
And you're going to tell me now that there are 60 MPs,
63.
63, and you're going to tell me that they represent the whole island in corruption?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
You're
that.
going to
I'm
tell me
saying that the poll that we are doing now, yes,
Yes.
identified corruption as the second most serious problem in facing the Jamaican public. The first, crime. Second, corruption. Third, cost of living. The first time in the 4 or 5 years we're doing the polls, corruption is now in the top 3, top 2. Yeah? But the question I want to ask you would have been around when the first effort at forming what is now the Integrity Commission was launched in 1973 with the what was the name of the act? The Integrity Act
Yes.
of 1973. And we have come this far. We now have a commission, yeah, that has serious, awesome responsibility. But the country is at a place now where it is so polarized, so divided in terms of its perception about how the commission is working. What would you suggest we do?
All right. I will tell you why it is doing that. The way that the management of the IC is being handled, the way it's being reported, the way the political parties have taken it. In other words, the PNP has taken a total negative.
And the JLP?
And the JLP, half of it is quiet. So, for you to go out there and find a PNP man who is going to say, this IC is no good, it's difficult. And so you have to find a JLP. In fact, you'll find more JLP who will agree that something not so right, it's shady, because of what I'm hearing. I don't see no proof. But when for example, the president could say him have 4 folders of the people them. That's long before this thing got to Parliament. You can't do that. You can't say those things.
And who said what?
That he has the folders.
Who said that?
You didn't. I read it someplace that the PNP leader said he has the folders of them. He know who they are.
Of the so-called illicit six?
Yes.
Oh?
And I ask you, who are the illicit six?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the illicit six? When the PNP saying it's not them, it's the Prime Minister and Fees man.
Mm-hmm.
So, the political leaders,
So
PNP and JLP leaders, have to be careful how they manage these things because their followers, I know some PNP man now, some JLP man who don't talk to a PNP, and a PNP who don't talk to a JLP. Why? Because of what is coming out for their party and their party leaders. Now, how do you manage that? You have to look back and say how it used to manage. I remember when the PNP used to attack, when the JLP used to attack Norman Manley, Buster would say, leave my cousin alone. Right? And you'd have a difference between Buster and Norman Manley. Now, every PNP has been taught to say we have to get in power, and the way to get in power is to kill Andrew Onis' image. Kill him. Thief. Wicked. Oh, what it has he stolen? What is it? So, I'm not sure that the JLP is handling it in a way that I could give them much credit for.
you don't think they're handling it?
I don't think it is being handled.
Yeah.
What
would you want them to do that they're not doing now?
Get back to what I said earlier. It is down to where the PNP is feeding their side with a negative, and the JLP is it feeding their side with enough positive? Is the JLP teaching and expressing to his people, say, all of this thing about Andrew Onis is not true, and what is the truth? And the PNP just have been saying, thief, get rid of him. So, if you ask me, I would say that leadership, well, first thing, I think that the separation between the two leaders is one of the big problems. I think that we cannot run a country where the two leaders are, I don't want to say what the Gleaner said, but leading two sets of people that are fighting each other, one another.
Two gangs.
I didn't say it. It's wicked to say it, but the truth is this, that every labourite, I won't say everyone, because not every PNP is behind Marcus, not every labourite is behind it, but the leadership is where the problem is. And how do I get rid of it? The two leaders have to sit down and decide how you want to get rid of that.
Do we have precedents for that?
Eh?
Do we have precedents for the two leaders in the past?
Well, could I tell you something that I know? I used to sit beside Mr. Seaga in cabinet, and I recall he said it to Shearer, HL, find out from Michael if this will work before we say it.
HL being Hugh Lawson Shearer, who was a very close friend of Michael Manley.
And Portia.
Yes. So he was the go-between.
Shearer was a go-between. I don't know who is a go-between, if there's any. But you can't wait to go to Parliament to surprise the opposition with something. The opposition leader and the PNP leader and the government leader should not be going to Parliament to hear it first time. They should. That's why you're a leader, and you're leading a whole heap of people who will go with what you say. How would you feel? How would you report it? That the leader of the opposition announced that there's going to be a state of emergency after discussion with the Prime Minister. Or he knew about it. But when he doesn't know, and he tell all of his followers how them wicked, them thief, them this, them that, what do you expect the people to say? You follow me?
Yeah.
So leadership has to go further than just you head PNP and me at JLP. You have to do that.
There must be greater, more open lines of communication.
Has to be.
Greater confidence, trust.
The confidence has to come from the leaders.